Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Today is March 12th, Monday, March 12th. Welcome to the Town Council meeting here at the Town Hall. And I would like to start with a Pledge of Allegiance, but before I ask everybody to join us and stand, I'd ask the Girl Scouts and Brownies who are here to come up and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think we're going to do that two ways. First, we will do our Pledge of Allegiance, and then they will lead us in Spanish. So if you'd like to come up to the front here, the flag is here. We'll stand with you, and we'll join you in the pledge. Come on up, girls. Up here. Are you ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And girls, would you like to lead us?
You want a microphone?
Here you go.
Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación debajo de Dios, entera con libertad y justicia para todos.
And why don't you stay standing here? I'm going to move item 14B up with a proclamation to the Girl Scouts tonight. So for all of you that are here, today marks Girl Scout Week, which started March 11th through March 17th of this year, whereas Monday, March 12th, marks the 106th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the USA, founded by Juliette Gordon Low in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. And through Girl Scouting, girls grow in courage, confidence, character, and learn to make the world a better place. Throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouts, the preeminent organization for girls, has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. Girl Scouting takes an active role in increasing the interest and skill levels of today's youth in math, science, and technology careers, and to fulfill the country's economic needs. And through participation in Project Undercover, a council-wide community service project, every girl will learn that she can make a change for the better in her community. The Girl Scout cookie sale is the world's largest girl-led business, teaching financial literacy to girls of all ages. And the Girl Scouts of Southeastern New England, which serves 12,000 girls in Rhode Island, in the Rhode Island area, will be celebrating 106 years of an American tradition with more than 3.4 million current Girl Scout members nationwide. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of South Kingstown, do hereby proclaim the week of March 11th through 17th of 2018 as Girl Scout Week in the Town of South Kingstown, and urge all of our citizens to support the Girl Scouts in all of their endeavors. Thank you. We'll go down this way.
I'll take more.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve item 14B as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, girls. I hope you sell a lot of cookies. Thank you. Roll call. Thanks, girls.
Good night.
Council President Healy,
Here?
Council Vice President Collins,
Here.
Councilman DeCruz,
Here.
Councilwoman Gledhill,
Here.
Councilman Veely.
Here.
All members present.
Item number 4, could I have a motion to approve A and B, the minutes from the previous meetings, which include the work session and the regular session dated February 26th?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no. We'll move on to item number 5. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, item number 6. We are looking at a resolution granting a victuallating license to Wakefield Tavern LLC, Tavern on Main, application approval by the Rhode Island Department of Health, and Christian D'Agostino of North Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Good evening. I'm John Kenyon, attorney for the applicant, Wakefield Tavern LLC. We're here tonight for 3 hearings, the first of which is our application for a victuals license to operate a restaurant at 195 Main Street. We'll be providing more information at the second hearing. As you know, this site was the location of Italian Village for many years. It was most recently operated as Saltwater Tavern. Christian D'Agostino is the manager of Wakefield Tavern LLC. He's going to explain the type of food he's going to be serving, along with the hours of operation.
Yes, good evening. We'll be serving a tavern fare, which it'll be different than a lot of pub fare that we have. But it'll be a full line of dinners with soup, salads, appetizers, a full line of entrees. We're also going to be serving brunch. But again, it'll be more of an upscale atmosphere. In our hours, we'll be serving Saturdays and Sundays from 9 a.m. for brunch until midnight, and then Sunday through Thursday from Monday through Friday. Sorry, confusing hours. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. until midnight.
Did I read in the paper that you used to work for Italian Village?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Yep.
That's great. And you live somewhere else now, right? Or do you?
I live in North Dakota now. Yep. I'm part owner in 4 restaurants and 1 catering company. I'm taking a buyout of one of the operations to finance this project, but I will be moving back here eventually.
Oh, that's great.
Are you the only member of the?
Yes, sole owner, correct.
Motion to approve item 6A.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Hearing none? We'll see you back in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Item 6B. This is a miscellaneous permit to Broad Rock Middle School, the PTO, to conduct the Crazy Coyote Chase, which I know they've done in the past, a 5K and a 1-mile fun run, to be held on April 7th, subject to the execution of a hold harmless agreement indemnifying the town and remittance of a certificate of insurance in the amount requested by the finance director. Emily Komisky is the applicant, and Emily, if you'd like to come forward and just state your name for the record.
Do you guys have that info on file, or did I need to bring that? I was under the impression that you had that.
This is something we've done. We don't have anything in front of us tonight. aside from
Okay,
this.
but all of that has been completed. So if you need a copy of that, then I can.
No, I think we're all set. And
Okay,
you've
great.
come before us, not necessarily you, but come before us.
Yep, nope, I did, yeah. Do you have any questions about the race?
How do you register?
Would you like to register, Joe? Registration can be done online. They're
asking for a
typically, what?
I'm asking for a friend.
You could have a team too. We could have a town council team.
There you go.
That would be kind of cool.
Only
We have a 1-mile fun run too, in case you don't want to do the full 5K. So no, it's a 1-mile fun run and also a 5K race. This race has been going on for, I believe this is the 7th year. And Brian, didn't your wife start it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brian's wife started it. So we're keeping the tradition alive. And last year we raised about $12,000 for the school. The money goes to paying for the kids' field trips. So to make sure that all kids are able to go on the field trips. Last year we had, I think, over 300 runners, usually varies between 300 and 500 runners. Leaves from Broad Rock School, goes through the Oaks, and then comes back up, so it's just using town roads. And we also have a silent auction, a raffle with a lot of great prizes. We have a bounce house. We have face painting, airbrush tattoos. It's a great event for the entire family. And we have YMCA providing babysitting for any parents that want to run with perhaps their older kids, or if you want to just run on your own, the YMCA is providing childcare for anybody. So we hope that everybody comes out and supports the race.
And how to sign up?
So you can sign up. Sorry, I was just throwing a little advertisement
Joe wants to
in there.
volunteer to flag.
Yes, we will need flaggers. You can come and flag with Chuck, but you can sign up online through the Facebook page, through the Broad Rock PTO page, and you could also sign up in person at the Wakefield Running store.
And you're still
Thanks,
looking for
Wakefield Running.
Are you still looking for sponsors? Or are you?
Nope, sponsors have closed because we've already sent all of our sponsor logos to 401 Printing in town to have our shirts and banners signed up. But if next year you would like to sponsor this race, reach out to me. I'll make sure you're on the list.
Thank you.
Motion.
Motion to approve 6B.
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
Good luck.
Hope to see you guys all there.
Yeah.
5K, 9 a.m.
All right, let's move on to item 7. Now is the time to open the public hearing, and then we will defer to item 14 for the victualling licenses. But the first of which is a public hearing relative to an application for a license to keep and sell alcoholic beverages in South Kingstown in accordance to the laws of 1956. For a Class B liquor license by Matunic Pizza Pie Company, LLC, 920 Matunic Beach Road, by Kevin Finnegan, a member for the indoor dining area and the outdoor seating area, in accordance with a special use permit granted by the Zoning Board of Review on April 21st, 2011, and outdoor side areas in accordance with a special use permit granted by the Zoning Board on January 17th, 2018. Said license is contingent upon a certificate of insurance evidencing required liability coverage, compliance with all town ordinances and regulations, a payment of any municipal taxes and user fees that may be in arrears to the town, and the correction of any fire code violations. Do you have anybody who would like to come up and speak? You made it just in time.
Yeah, I thought it was tomorrow.
Perfect timing.
What's that? Yeah. What do you need to know? Questions?
Stopped in the other day. It was great pizza.
Good pizza, right?
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Tastes better with something else. No.
Yeah, well, if you want to just give a general sense of what you're going to be doing there so the public...
I think the general sense is, I was here at the hearings when the previous owners, they seem to be going on the right path. Good pizza, go moving forward, ask for a beer and wine, got a liquor license. But I still don't know for the reasons up opening and closing and stuff like that. So I'm just going to pick that ball up where they left it and, open 7 days a week, stuff like that, just progressively, organically, grow. Stuff like that.
How's it going so far? Good?
It's our fourth weekend. Everything's good. Good return from people telling us sales are up every weekend. That's obviously a good sign. Yeah, we're not burning any pizzas.
Summer hits.
Yeah, so we had experience on Block Island last year with, we got a pizza place on Block Island, so it was really obviously busy June, July, and August.
I don't know who does your graphic work, but the logos that you designed for both the place in Block Island and this is just beautiful.
It's a local, when we started Musically, he was in a band. I should know his name, but I can't think of it right now. But we called him up on our 25th anniversary, and he came up with that logo. But he's a big-time artist for bands and all sorts of things, but he's coming up with some good logos.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
Good to see.
Thank him.
New business is opening up.
What's it?
Oh, we use him. Yeah, the WVA uses him for their graphic art.
Right, yeah, great kid. Guy, man. Person.
we'll move on to item.
We need to just see if there's anybody from.
Oh, that's right, public hearing. Anybody from the audience would like to come up and ask any questions about this new establishment or the establishment that he's taken over?
Jim O'Neill, Matunic. This Kevin continues to be a great success story. And special hours tomorrow morning, I understand, so we can enjoy this storm on the on the deck of the Ocean Mist. But really, Kevin has been outstanding businessman, and also outstanding with the law and the ownership of that area. So he's been a great addition to the community of South Kingstown.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions or comments from the audience?
Motion to close the public hearing, 7A.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll go back to the vote. Do we do that now, or do we wait till we do B? Okay, so we'll open up the public hearing. Again, item 7B, an application for a license to keep and sell alcoholic beverages in South Kingstown for a Class B victualler license by Wakefield Tavern, a DBA Tavern on Main, by Christian D'Agostino, member of the first and second floor dining areas, and limited to 20 outdoor seats on Main Street in accordance with a special use permit and variance granted by the zoning board in May of 2014, and subject to the filing of an off-site parking agreement in the land evidence records as further defined on the site plan, which is dated February 5th. This license is contingent upon the issuance of a certificate of insurance evidencing required liability, the filing of a new off-site parking agreement in the land evidence records, compliance with all town ordinances and regulations, and the payment of any municipal taxes and user fees that could be in arrear to the town, and the correction of any fire code violations.
Once again, I'm John Kenyon, attorney for the applicant. The applicant has entered into a lease agreement with the owner of the property, Wakefield Holdings, LLC. The current owner purchased the property from Antonio Molo, who ran or operated the Italian Village there for several decades. The current owner leased the property to SWT, LLC, which operated the Saltwater Tavern for approximately 3 years. SWT, LLC was put into receivership by the Superior Court. A letter was submitted from the court-appointed receiver, Michael McCaffrey, dated January 29, 2018, stating that SWT LLC was no longer operating as a company and requested formal abandonment of the liquor license. That's why we're here tonight requesting a new license rather than the transfer of the previous one. And again, I'd like to have a couple questions for Christian D'Agostino. And Christian, can you tell the council where you live?
I live in Minnesota on 4106 14th Avenue in Moorhead, Minnesota.
And can you explain your educational background?
Yep, I have an associate's degree in the culinary arts from the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York.
And what do you do for a living?
For a living, I'm a restaurant owner. I manage restaurants.
And what are the names of the restaurants that you currently own?
Yep, we have the Boiler Room in Fargo, North Dakota, and then Boiler Room Wahpeton in Wahpeton, North Dakota. We have a Barbacoa restaurant in South Fargo, and Twist restaurant in Fargo also. And we also have a catering company, Chef's Table Catering in North Dakota, in Fargo also.
And do those restaurants have liquor licenses?
Yes, they all do.
And have you had any issues with those liquor licenses?
We have not.
And as was asked earlier, you're originally from South Kingstown?
I am, yes. I was born here.
And in fact, you used to work at the Italian Village?
Yes.
And can you explain when that was and what you did there?
Yeah, I started washing dishes. I was at the age of 13 at the Italian Village working for Anthony Malo. And I quickly worked my way up to being a cook, through high school. And then that's when I decided I wanted to go to culinary school. At the age of 18, so I finished culinary school and made my way back here and worked at the Italian Village for another 5-6 years.
And are you requesting or proposing any additions to the existing building?
No renovations, no.
Are you keeping the interior floor plan the same?
Yes, that's the same.
And are you proposing the same liquor service area as the previous license?
Correct.
And now the previous owner was granted the ability to expand into the parking lot adjacent to the building, is that correct?
Correct.
And that was never constructed?
No, it never came to fruition with previous ownership.
And are you, tonight, you're not asking for that license, is that correct?
We are not asking for that license, but we're in the hopes if it's zoned for that we have the opportunity to do that 2 to 3 years' time.
And do you know approximately how many employees you'll be hiring?
Between 20 and 25.
And who will manage the restaurant?
The managers will be me. I'll manage the back of the. I'll oversee the whole operation, but my forte is in the back of the house in the kitchen. But we also hired a general manager and an assistant manager.
And are you proposing any additional lighting on the outside of the building?
No additional lighting, no.
And have you already installed the signage for the new restaurant?
Yes, we have.
And did the owners have a lease agreement with Peter Story to park on his property located on Columbia Street?
They did, yes.
And did Peter recently sell that property?
Correct.
And ironically, did he sell it to Antonio Molo?
I believe he did, yes. No, I know he did.
Has Mr. Molo entered into a lease agreement with Wakefield Holdings LLC to permit parking on his property?
Correct.
And so the council knows we received the original executed agreement this afternoon. I was planning on recording it tomorrow morning, but I think we're going to have to wait till Wednesday. But that will be on record. And did you also recently attain the necessary liability insurance?
Yes, that's in force.
And do you have anything else you wanted to say to the council or to the public?
I do not. I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to open up the restaurant again. It's come full circle for me. Coming back home.
Great.
Answered all our questions, or all my questions. Just need to ask if there's anybody.
Anybody in the audience would like to come to speak on?
Motion to close the public hearing 7B.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Hearing none, motion carries. We will defer now to item 14, A, which is a resolution. We will have to grant some new liquor licenses to hear these. A resolution affirming or amending the town's liquor license rules and regulations. Section 1, the current number of licenses for each class shall be authorized as indicated below unless changed by a majority vote. And in this case, we would have to change the victualling license B, which we currently have 25.
I'd make a motion to increase B victualler to 27.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposition, motion carries. Both items have been approved by the council.
Motion to approve item 7A is presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve item 7B as presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Good luck to you both.
We look forward to going to your new establishments. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Give me a second. Okay, let's move on to item number 8A, a communication dated February 27th from Stephen Almasian, Armenian National Committee of Rhode Island, requesting permission to fly their flag at the town hall on April 24th to mark the anniversary of the Armenian genocide during World War I. This has been received and placed on file, and the council further directs as follows.
What have we done in previous year? Yeah,
Yes.
I thought so.
We've done it.
All right, motion to approve item 8A, or to,
To allow, right?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Dale. Moving on to 8B is a communication dated March 7th of this year from James O'Neill requesting a discussion of the 1999 approvals of the South Shore Village and County Club by the Planning and Zoning Boards, and that has been received, and we further direct as follows. And Jim, if the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. Jim O'Neill, Matunic. Again, a review of what I feel are the differences between myself and some people of this community and Mr. Osillo and Mr. Zarnetsky's response to this issue. And I believe that we've reached a point that it's insurmountable. And they center around the following issues. Number one, you've heard Mike mention dozens of times that homes cannot be built from the ground up. And if any of you have been out there, and I've been out there, I've got the photos, and Mr. LeBlanc, I don't know if he's here tonight, he certainly has submitted photos. You can see the full basements, full size of them. So there are modular homes and stick-built homes there. So they've all not only been built from the ground up, they've been built from underneath the basements up. There's just no question about that. So that's number one that we don't see eye to eye on. Secondly, mentioned a number of times by both gentlemen that the zoning ordinance that was in place in 1999 was not clear. And our mobile and manufactured homes ordinance was quite clear. The manager a number of times said, well, Jim has his own definitions from 1976 and 1980, but my definitions are state law, federal law, HUD, Housing Urban Development Law, and are all referred to in Article 9, our own mobile manufactured home zoning ordinance. It's all there. There's nothing hidden. It's all in plain sight. No vagueness. You heard them repeatedly mention that manufactured homes are not mobile homes. They go on to say it's not something that has wheels on it, rolled in, wheels pulled off, and then put down. But that's what a manufactured home is. And you can see the 190 out of 236 at Tuckertown Village are exactly that. Most are two-sided. So they're absolutely, there's no way except to say they're absolutely wrong on that issue. And the reason that the feds are important about this, federal government, HUD, the HUD code, is that the category of manufactured homes incorporated mobile homes back in 1976, 1980. So when you refer to this type of home, it's called manufacturing home. It includes mobile, but is now referred to as manufactured home industry everywhere. Law, Fed law, state law. You find it up at DBR, you find it in our own zoning ordinance. So the problem is between Mike and Rob, I believe they're comparing apples to apples, apples being mobile home and apples being manufactured homes, when they should be comparing modular homes to manufactured homes. That's what it's all about. That's what's being built up there, not manufactured homes as we know the issue. And the former South Kingstown boards and councils, they knew all the facts. But the thing here that is really of great concern is about the conjunction word and, A-N-D. You heard the manager and Mike have said many times, there is no separation between manufactured homes and mobile homes. So I'd just like to, if you would, forgive me here, but just read you a couple of things out of our own zoning ordinance, if I can find it. Which, of course, it's never right here on top. So think about that again. They've said no separation, and they said the zoning ordinance of 1999 was not clear. Article 9, November 7, 1994. Article 9 is mobile and manufactured home park. Section 900, intent, mobile and manufactured home parks, mobile and manufactured homes. 900, 910, 920, 930, 940, 950, 960, 970. Every section in our zoning ordinance, it's mobile and manufactured home park, mobile and manufactured homes. Not either or, not and or. It's, as Mr. Zarnetsky said, Or. He used the word or all the time. It's either or manufacturing homes or manufacturing. It's and it's been here since 1976 in our zoning ordinance. And just let me read you a couple things here. Well, actually, I won't bore you with that anymore because it's so factual, it's incredible. What's important here is you've had all this information since 1982 when this whole issue on our 40A lots was born. And we had a lot of good people on that board then. Some of you are related to some of them. And Mr. Lakowitz, who was the planning consultant at that time for South County Sand and Gravel, who became our planning director before most of you were on here back in the early 90s through early 2000s, I think maybe 10 or 12 years. But he is on record constantly referring to the state definition, the federal definition of manufactured home parks. When they put Tuckertown Village together, they have all the individuals named in here. I'm not going to give you these hundreds of pages. They have all the folks named in here who came down that showed them how manufactured homes were built at the factory. All of this was done. It's incredible. Everything is here. And Article 9 was in place back in 1981-82. First it was mobile home and then integrated into manufactured home. All the evidence is here. There is nothing that I have presented to you that is an absolute fact in our archives and in our clerk's office downstairs. It's all here, every bit of it. So you can see, I don't think it's even a question. This isn't or, this is and. And if you look up the definition of and, you never think of that crazy word, but it's a requirement that two conditions, think about that, requirement, two conditions, mobile and manufactured, have to be met for a statement to be executed. Two conditions have to be. They're the two. They're in our laws and regs throughout. And fortunately, the manager did say we were stuck with that zoning ordinance in 1999. And that is clear. And our boards and those folks that worked thousands of hours on this thing, they stated clearly they had a mobile and manufactured home zoning ordinance that they adhered to. They adhered to it. And let me just give you just a couple more thoughts on that, then I'll leave you alone. But no one else is here, so let me just give you the preamble for that zoning ordinance. Zoning ordinance, this is adopted May 24th, 1994. Preamble, whereas the zoning districts and regulations set forth in the zoning ordinance are made in accordance with the Comprehensive Community Plan, Town of South Kingstown, adopted July 17, 1992. This was the Bible for the 1999 decision. There's no way you can avoid this thing. It talked about the zoning districts, those only two, the R40A. These areas include low-density residential uses, residential tourist facilities, selected non-residential public and semi-public facilities. Back to the use code, which this is all about, not ownership, use code. Use code states here, as I've said to you all along, but the table always said or. I said and. 8-1, mobile and manufactured home parks. Only one place can grant a special use permit, and that was an R40A. I've done nothing but give you the truth with your own evidence and the applicant's own evidence. So let me zero in on a few things here, and then I'll leave you alone. What was most disturbing at the last meeting, and I've sat up there with you for 14 years. But the manager said, hey, there's no harm when I asked about fines, tearing them down, moving them out, penalties, because I brought up the precedent of the farmhouse by the sea where you threw the book at them, rightly so, but you also adhered to what a lot of parents who needed that weddings to go through. But what are we supposed to think? Are there different rules for certain folks with wealth and powerful attorneys and different rules for other folks? But the manager called it harm. There was no harm. And let me tell you what the harm is. He's right. There is no harm having 5 stick builts, even though I brought up, suppose there were 50. But there is no harm because they're all on this huge piece of property. And yeah, I guess one could say, hey, they blend in with everything else. But that's not the point. The point is, to my way of thinking, it was the saddest day I've ever come across in South Kingstown. We're worried about exposing the town to liability. I'm worried about transparency. I'm worried about trust. And the 5 of you, that should come first. And if we had to fess up the truth about this whole thing, so what? Transparency and truth. Where's that gone here? There's nothing alien about truth and transparency. It's what the leaders, the 5 of you, can fix and correct. You don't hide from it. Even Mr. LeBlanc that was here that night told you the truth also from what he understood it to be. He talked about a new project. Remember his words were the right project for the upper middle class. He said it was a new project. That requires changes from the town council because it's a special use only for manufactured home parks and requires a visit to planning and zoning. That's in the books. No way around it. So this harm thing is just, it hurts so badly, and it should hurt everybody in this community. And you know, Mrs. Healy has called it a passion. I guess it's a passion and emotion, But I have low tolerance for what I see are powerful forces skirting the law at the expense of the environment and everyday citizens who don't have that luxury of wealth and power and expensive lawyers, if you will. The bottom line, more homes, a greater use of the land, which was contrary to the uses that were laid out in that 1999 decision. The public needs to know that there's a level playing field for developers as well as the citizens. And we are a nation of laws. You all know that. He was granted, the developer was granted a certain number and a certain type of home. And, is it a promise, is a stroke of a pen, or if you have the right attorneys, you can get by with that, something different? The owners of the land, and you've heard this from many other people that spoke on this, the owners of the land were granted a certain permission. A certain permission in any alteration would have required new hearings, automatic. And I believe in this town, and I never spend all this time on it, but South Kingston, we're not a town where our health and ecological integrity should be compromised because one kind of housing is financially more feasible than what our boards granted. That's the halo of this whole thing. Building on land in this town, zoning rules are throughout the nation. Building on our land is no guarantee. It's a privilege granted by our boards, vested on the developer who in good faith would agree and must agree to stand consistent with his or her request. Our laws are not made for individual, but for the health and well-being of our townspeople and our ecology. Our laws are not moving targets. I'm asking you to be the gatekeepers of this community as I have for every other meeting. So if you have any questions,
I do have a comment. You stated you're making a lot of legal arguments, and my concern with that is that you're not a lawyer. As a town, we have to ask advice of our attorneys. They've given us advice. The one thing I take great, and I don't even know how to say it, but you're sitting over there calling us all dishonest, and that is not correct.
Well, why in the world don't you talk about what are the motives going on here that you...
And then you're saying that the town is doing things behind the scenes. That doesn't happen.
Well, how would we know that? No one knew in the public about what your rulings were on the 5 stick-built homes. No one knew that.
Jim, we didn't either. It wasn't presented.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's gone to zoning and planning, and I'm sure they've done their due diligence. I know Chelsea's been very involved, and she's worked hard. Unfortunately, a lot of us weren't here when this whole project started. That's the most difficult. And that brought us up to speed, and I thank you for bringing all of this to our attention because we weren't here back then, and
And I appreciate that, Mrs. Healy, but that's why I bring to you the regs that were in place. They were even in place long before I was. And those folks on those zoning boards in the 80s and 90s, what a great job they did. There was no lack of clarity. It's all here. And I've told you every time, I'm no attorney, but what I see is a problem here, because at the next meeting, we're going to get into Waccamaw Park and a few other things. And I believe that Mike has a conflict of interest with that. And the fact you've got to remember is that his office wrote the draft and wrote the decisions back in 1999. So if there's a problem, that's why I'm here trying to defend the town and the people against those decisions. I think we're compromised here using Mike. And remember, this isn't an all or none thing. As I said to you, the planning board in 1999 said it could be 204 units because it was a land development project. That's what it was judged against. It's all in the record. I have not thought of something on this on my own. It is all in the record.
I appreciate your enthusiasm for trying to defend the people of the community at what you think is a great wrong, but that's our job. We're elected to do it, and we've already made decisions about it on behalf of the community. And it's great that you're coming here and expressing yourself and your opinions, but to come up here and accuse us of being dishonest or disloyal or doing harm to this community is preposterous. There's just no other word for it. And I think if you are trying to win some people over here and have a rational discussion, calling us dishonest and coming at us like that isn't really appropriate. And I'm not going to sit through another meeting where you discredit our town solicitor the way that you have. He works for us, and we've decided that he's doing his job well, and he's fulfilled all his obligations, and we're taking his advice. So I'm not going to listen to somebody tell us that we're dishonest and hiding things from him.
Madam President, if it's an appropriate time, I do think it's also necessary to explain to the public the interpretations that have been made. Essentially, what we've got here is a situation where a citizen believes that a decision made by the zoning official is incorrect, that decision has not been based on a solid, logical basis. With regard to the and/or element, I understand Mr. O'Neill's position that these are two different words. They're conjunctive, and means two things together, or they're disjunctive, one thing or the other thing. I do understand that interpretation. That is not the interpretation that courts bring to those two words. And I'll read two court decision expressions that will sort of make this clear. This is from a 1909 case. This is not a new issue. It's actually an issue that doesn't arise very often because it's sort of settled that you do, as these two cases point out. In 1909, a Canadian court, for what it's worth, says, "There is no doubt that the intention of the parties, and where the sense requires it, there are many cases to show that we may construe the word or into and into or, in order to effectuate the intent of the parties." In this case, if we were to take Mr. O'Neill's interpretation, manufactured and mobile home park, you would literally have to have both manufactured and mobile homes in the park in order for it to comply with our zoning. That is not the likely intention of the drafters of that section of our zoning. Again, in a 2006 case, courts need not mechanically interpret every or as disjunctive, but rather courts should interpret the word or according to context. And the same is true of and. You need to consider what the parties drafting the legislation had in mind. It seems very clear reading the entire zoning ordinance, and this is the interpretation that the zoning official has given it, that they meant you can either have a manufactured home park or a mobile home park, that you need not have one of each kind in order for the park to be a validly permitted use. So we may disagree about the interpretation, but I think that the zoning official's interpretation here is infinitely reasonable, and I continue to support it.
I find that absolutely absurd. The word and is in every section of the law, state, federal, as well as South Kingstown, as well as Article 17 also. So I believe that is absolutely nuts. The board knew what they were doing. It's the intent. It was the intent of the board. And the intent was to be a Tuckertown village. The applicant's intent was a Tuckertown village. No one argued that till this new owner came in. No one argued that issue from 1999 to 2016. It's the intent. I thought there is case law here. Rob can go look at the Wacamo issue with Shoreline Realty. You can go look at that too. It's the intent. And that was the intent of those people, the citizens that were on our planning and zoning boards all those years. So anyway, that's what I have for this evening. And I couldn't disagree more with Rob's actions as our manager.
Thank you, Jim.
Motion to place communication 8B on file.
Bill Rosen, Kingston. I don't want to get into a discussion of anything here, but it isn't clear to me what the decision is that came down. Councilwoman Gledhill mentioned that there was a decision and you passed it on, and I don't know what that decision was and why this whole, Jim has brought up this whole thing.
So what I was referring to, Mr. Rosen, was when he first brought this to our attention in, I think it was October, we deferred it to our town solicitor, who told us not to take action based on legal precedent and what he thought was appropriate. So we didn't take action on it. But Jim has continued to come to every meeting insisting that we do take action on it. So what I was referring to was his initial, communication asking us to place a cease and desist on further building permits for that property, and we decided not to.
But was there a decision with respect to this prior to the October meeting?
No, this never came before the council until it was brought up. This has been in planning and zoning, and the approvals and decisions were made through the planning and zoning boards here at the town. Nothing ever came to the council until Mr. O'Neill came to us and brought to light the fact that there were some stick-built houses. But we, as a council, have never made a decision on this parcel of land. Never.
Okay, what was the decision of the planning board then?
Chelsea
Are you
approved it.
aware of what that decision was, and was there a waiver to that decision that was made that gave rise to this problem? So the zoning official did decide that the stick-built construction that was brought to the attention of the town, those stick-built structures were built in violation of the use permit. That the use permit allowed manufactured homes and the use permit allowed mobile homes, but it did not allow for stick-built construction at that site. Those permits were revoked. There will be no more of those structures constructed, or any more of those structures built. Stick-built construction is not permitted. It will not be permitted in the future. So that is a decision by the zoning official that stands as a result of Mr. O'Neill's drawing our attention to the fact that those permits had erroneously been issued. He is correct about that. And those erroneous permits have been remedied to the extent that the zoning official believed was warranted. We did not order the demolition of those buildings because, again, it's my position, it's the former zoning official's position, that doing so would not improve the circumstances on the ground. You'd tear down a stick-built building and you'd put up one that looked just like it that came in on a truck in parts. There would be virtually nothing gained by doing that. So requiring someone to expend money for the purpose of making no difference just seems a futile thing to do. So the zoning official's decision with regard to the demolition was we shall not order it. So those are the decisions that have been made. With regard to whether the manufactured homes that are being built there now are in fact manufactured homes, the decision has been made, the administrative decision has been made, that those things being built, those things being brought in on truck and snapped together on site are in fact manufactured homes, as that concept, as that phrase, as that concept, as that term would have been interpreted in 1999 under the zoning ordinance that was in force. So yes, that's another decision, an administrative decision that has been made.
Okay.
and there was an appeal to that decision that was made by the present owner. Is that correct?
The present owner appealed our decision to no longer allow stick-built construction on site. That appeal has been withdrawn.
Okay. One other issue. I've heard the number 204, I believe, as compared to 300 and something. What does that have to do with anything?
So my understanding of the original special use permit was that it was a density-related permit, and that more land was acquired and brought into the project. The increased number reflects the increased land available for construction.
Okay, thank you.
Just for clarification, Madam President, the acreage was at the settlement time in 1999 was 262 acres. Additional lots which came in afterwards made it 279 acres. Using the 40,000 square foot rule per home brings it to 303. I'm happy to help any of you with that information. I also would like you to know that tonight we had a chance to discuss our zoning ordinance. I try to do something new every time to help educate you. 2 weeks from now, I'll have more. 2 weeks, I've got more. I'm trying to educate everyone here. But I think what you really need to see and you've got to sit back and just reason for a minute. If you notice that both Mike and Rob cannot mention the word modular. Everybody in real estate knows what a modular home is. It is not taken to the site, tacked together like a manufactured home. There is plenty of construction that goes on. Trusses, mud sills. Think about all the things that have to take place. Modular homes, they cannot say the word because they'll get in trouble for using that word. But manufactured homes and modular homes are very much different. Modular homes has a lot more pieces to put together. If you wanted to go to the absurdity of a definition, probably a stick-built home is the safest to say that's 100% built off-site. You've got trees manufactured into lumber, bauxite into aluminum, marble from Brazil or gosh knows where for bathrooms or kitchens, oil derivatives for vinyl and roofing. Think about that, all the cement and the foundations off-site brought in. So how just the insanity, the absurdity here, because they won't mention the word modular. Modular is a nationally recognized category type of home. They won't mention it because that's what's being built out there. But if you need numbers, I've got everything you need so folks don't have to struggle with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, just as clarification so the council and the public knows, we don't mention the word modular because it wasn't the term used in the zoning ordinance in 1999. These decisions, these administrative decisions, turn on whether or not this is a manufactured or mobile construction, not modular. And the interpretation that we've put that we believe is correct with regard to the 1999 zoning ordinance is that if it's coming in pieces, it's a manufactured home.
Thank you. Okay.
Absurd, absolutely absurd.
There was a second. I don't think we voted.
I think at some point the council needs to decide whether it's a good use of your time to continually hear comment on this topic. It's my understanding you've made the decision, and if Mr. O'Neill is unhappy with it, I think he knows very well how to seek legal redress.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of 8B, placing it on file is what the motion was, if I'm not mistaken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. Now we come to item number 9, which is comments from interested citizens. Anybody in the audience who would like to come up to the podium, please state your name, and we'll welcome any comments, questions, concerns, anything that you'd like to address. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the town manager's report.
We'll make it brief. We've got a storm coming in, and really that's the gravamen of today's report. Town hall and town offices will be closed tomorrow. They're anticipating this is going to be a 24-hour storm, and it's just going to be brutal. So I encourage everyone to stay safe tomorrow. We have not got plans to open a warming shelter. The temperatures will be in the mid-30s tomorrow. If anyone needs assistance, 911 is the way to go tomorrow. By all means, we'll be in full force. The highway crew will be out doing what they do. The police will be available. EMS will be available for the citizens of South Kingstown. But if you run into trouble tomorrow, dial 911.
Kudos to all the town staff. I really feel for you guys, especially the police officers, the EMS, and Public Works. Just 3 huge storms all at once, and you've done a fabulous
Neighbor,
job.
you're our best friend right now.
Seriously,
Call
though,
me,
you
I'll
guys
be
are
home, I'll help you.
Amazing. You guys have done the best you can for what we've been dealt. It's been incredible.
Everybody's done a really good job.
Just one other note, I guess, and that is that Wednesday's work session with the school committee is still on the schedule, and I don't anticipate. I anticipate that our highway crew will be able to get the snow off the street.
7 o'clock here.
If the school committee cancels their meeting tomorrow night, will that affect it at all?
It should not, no.
Okay.
Wednesday here at 7. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the town solicitor's report.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. And I don't think we have any appointments today, but so we're moving on from there. And let's move on to, thank you. 14C, which is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Martone Service Company in Narragansett for the installation of storm windows at the town hall, according to bid specifications, in an amount not to exceed $22,207, and that does include a contingency, and that has been described as a memorandum dated March 5th to the town manager from the facility superintendent. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 14C is presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, we'll move on to D, which is a resolution authorizing an award to Dell Computers of Pennsylvania for computers in the amount not to exceed $25,426, and that is in a memorandum dated March 7th from the Chief of Police to the Town Manager for public safety computer replacement. I have a motion.
I make a motion to approve item 14D. With a comment. I just want to know how we are recycling the old computers. Are we donating them or tossing them, or I'm sorry to make you get up.
Through the town.
Okay.
Do that occasionally, a couple times a year.
Okay. Sorry.
There is concern, particularly with law enforcement computers, about donating them. They often have sensitive information on them. So we destroy the hard drives and then recycle the components.
Great.
Perfect.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, we'll move on to F, which is a resolution authorizing the purchase of a Physio Control Inc. From Physio Control Inc. of Redmond, Washington, for Lucas chest compression system for an amount not to exceed $11,061.50, and that is described in a memorandum dated February 28th to the town manager. Bid recommendation for the chest compression system.
Maybe take this and G together.
Yes, that's fine.
Make a motion to approve items F and G as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, let's move on to item I, which is a resolution supporting House Bill 7769, H-7769, which is an act relating to towns and cities' subdivision of land, which restores the review and decision timeframes reduced by the Rhode Island General Assembly as they pertain to Rhode Island Subdivision Land Development Renewing and Enabling Act, RIGL 45-23. enacted during the 2017 legislative session.
We had some good discussion around this issue in the work session. I'll make a motion that we support this resolution, also with a letter directed to Chairwoman Cisnowski of the Senate Environment and Agriculture Committee, asking that she introduce an identical bill in the Senate on behalf of the town, and thanking her for her leadership on that committee and the work she's done for creating good planning laws in the state. And I'd like to also thank Chelsea for putting in work on the issue as well. I know the planning director and also the chairwoman of the planning board have both been active on this issue.
Second.
Okay, and just one comment. Do you have all of that with the recognition of Senator Cisnowski? And thank you, Dale. I don't know if I have to sign anything on that, but if not, then we're all set. Okay. We have a motion and a second, and any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Dale. At this point, I think we have a motion, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Joe, you didn't say no, so motion carries.